Just to let you know, this podcast may contain some offensive/explicit language. If you don't like that type of stuff, then you simply don't have to listen. But we've given you your warning. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to episode number 4. Yeah,
4 of the rebirth. Yeah,
4 of the rebirth of the Nash Tackle podcast. It's it feels like it's been 2 minutes, but it's actually been over 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, Daniel.
It's been a busy few weeks, and it just swings around. We're trying to do them release every 3 weeks. We'll try and up that, but busy, innit?
Yeah, sounds like we're making excuses, but no, we'll manage. You know, we've blocked out our diaries, haven't we, to make sure that we can keep bringing them live.
Yeah, so we'll try and do them every 3 weeks, but the last 3 weeks particularly have been, well, I've been on holiday, you've been on a couple of shoots, then suddenly we were like, oh, we need to release one this weekend. So here we are. Tony, however, has been a busy little bee.
Yeah, for those who are watching and not listening, you'll notice the background has changed along with my new mug.
We're back in the old, because we were just in our photo studio for the last couple of weeks with a makeshift one. We're back in our old podcast studio, which has started to have its little makeover. So this will get better. We'll get more additions to it, but I think it looks. I think you've done a sterling job, Tone.
It's nearly there.
And he's got a mic.
And I've got a mic now. Yeah, we're nearly there.
Well done, Tone.
And this has come out of nowhere because I come back from those 2 shoots and it's looking good. We just need a couple of shelves, some souvenirs. What else? Lads mags, the old school posters.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
So yeah, what we've got in store for today's episode, Alfie?
Well, we've been up to a lot, so we haven't really had much time to plan. But because we've been up to a lot, it means we've got quite a bit to talk about. I mean, from mine and your point of view, I've been away for 2 weeks on 2 shoots with a stag do in the middle, but we'll leave that bit out. And then you've been away on holiday for 2 weeks.
Holiday, but fishing. So
Fishing
not away with the missus. I did that, and all the target fish come out of my syndicate. So this one was away actually fishing for a couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I suppose we'll start with shoot number 1, because that's one thing that we do. We always time at summer and spring and autumn is our shooting season.
Yeah, we try and load up the shooting and then use the winter months a bit more for editing. And so we'll always try and release films when it's relevant to that time of year. So the tactics and whatever you're seeing or watching is relevant to that time of year and that fishing. Although it's quite hard sometimes, we don't like to try and post an autumn film in spring.
Yeah, you don't want to see surface fishing in the middle of on Christmas Day.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like a nice big feel-good film or a big adventure and a sit-down and watch kind of jobby, then we will. Like your canal boat film released
Boxing Day, I think.
Around Christmas time, but it was a bit more of a adventure film. Yeah. But especially ones like you've just been away on a French fishing holiday with an absolute guru, all that knowledge and information we want to release to people when they're about to go on their French fishing holiday. So if we do the edit now and get it out for August, September, yeah, sure, some people will still be going on those French fishing holidays, but it's probably best going out in like March, April, when people are planning to go out, and they'll be going out in the coming months, and they can take any tips and tricks that you guys might be able to, information you guys might be able to give them, and they can take that into their holidays.
Yeah, we all know fishing is very different at different times of year, tactics-wise. I mean, obviously they're all still carp no matter what time of the year, but there's 100% like the way in which you approach things. Mm-hmm. Like you say, we just try and keep it nice and relevant for the time of year, so if you are watching it at that point, you can apply it.
Yeah, so where did you go? What did you do? Who were you with?
Yeah, so it's actually quite short notice. We always do our French fishing holidays. It used to be me and Finn, and we had a little series, and now Finn's obviously moved on to Capital Carp, so he's not available as much. Still a consultant as such, he's still very much a Nash lad, but I lost him. I didn't have anyone to go with, and the thing with these French fishing venues is that's my style of fishing. I love a lake exclusive in France, your typical pay lake, your Saturday to Saturday. If any of you listening have ever been on one, it's very, very difficult to not see a carp angler at the ferry or the tunnel at any day or any time of day. Like even sometimes when I've gone out on a Monday, which you think you've missed a boat, there's always camo walking about. So obviously loads of people love doing it. It appeals to me and so many people, I think, because A, you can go with all your mates, you get a lake exclusive, you haven't got to worry about 2 different people turning up in the middle of the week, and it's a holiday, it's sort of like you've different style of fishing, but it's a holiday. And that we just try and make films that people can relate to, and then obviously use it for some inspiration. At the same time, obviously we give you some advice and tactics on how we did it, especially if it's the same venue, because a lot of these places are very frequently visited week in, week out over the summer. But long story short, Will Ray, for those of you who don't know, is our social media guy. If you ever see anything on our social channels, most of the time that will be Will doing that. Brilliant lad, couldn't live without him. He'd been out to Goncourt Complex, so I know a lot of people listening will have heard of this, and he was part of their Facebook group, and I think it was back in the beginning of April, and Pascal, the owner, put up a cancellation on Pascal's Lake, which is, I hadn't heard of it before, or I did, the fish that I'd seen I never knew were from this lake, and it's not your typical French venue. They are, the strain of fish that are in there are just unbelievable. Yeah,
it's very much the jewel in their crown, isn't it, of their complex of lakes. I'm always quite critical, because the guys will always be searching for lakes and they'll send them to me. What do you think of this place? And it's got to tick a few boxes, the size of fish, because if you go to France, you want somewhere which you're going to chance of catching a big one, just like the audience. But also, I always like the quality of fish. I don't want fish which aren't cared for properly. You know, they've got bad mouth damage, the tails are, you know, broken or missing, or they're not just horrible looking things that don't do the film justice, if you know what I mean. I want fish in good nick, which look nice, who live in a nice environment, and people would really aspire to catch. And sometimes it can be quite hard, especially because we sometimes look really late and we'll go, oh, we should probably book one of these venues, and obviously they're all booked up in advance. This place, oh my God, you sent me the photos of the fish and I was just like, is this Oxford?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I couldn't believe it again, because Will, there's an opportunity, Alf, and I was at the pub, and I remember phoning you on the Saturday saying, and again, we did touch on this in the last episode actually, because I was just going on the last episode, and I went, like that, when then the buzz starts happening, so this is from their 74-pound jet black mirror, like you think, oh my word, and then 60-pound jet black commons linears, like they're just like
that. There's one, a small one you sent me, it's probably like 31 pound, and oh my God, it was ridiculous.
It's the darkest carp I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous carp. Yeah.
And yeah, so the cancellation come up, and then quick phone calls on the Saturday, and it was like, can we do it? You know, have we got the resources from our point of view, cameraman wise, angler wise? And we had a bit of a brainstorm. Who can come with me? Because no one wants to watch just me. I don't have that appeal.
Well, they do, but I think one of the biggest benefits or pulls from a French fishing holiday like that is rarely people are going on their own.
Yeah.
They go with a group of mates. And so we want to try and emulate that as much as possible and have that social aspect or the camaraderie aspect in our films as well, rather than you just going on your own and sitting there like a plum on a lake on yourself. You want to be there with someone else and bounce off them and plan together, just like the audience are going to do when they book their lakes.
Yeah, 100%. And so it was one of those, stars have aligned. We had the resources. Steve Briggs was my new partner in crime. I love that man so much. Like, he is just an incredible human being, not just an incredible angler. Like, I admire everything he stands for. And he had the time, and coincidentally, he was at a lake when we finished on that Saturday, 10 minutes up the road. So Steve and Joan were there. We managed to get, Steve managed to come out, and we managed to fish Pascal's Lake for a week. If you look on their website, they've got, I think it's like 12, 13 lakes, and they have like a tier system of hard, medium, and easy. The only one under the hard category is Pascal's.
Is it really? Right.
Yeah, and I can see why, because it is incredibly weedy. Like, I'd seen footage on YouTube from a few years back, but they'd actually dyed it, which it's definitely stunted the weed to some degree, but you're still, and because it had the blue dye, you couldn't actually see it as well from the drone, but when you're actually physically in the boat and you're looking down, 95% of that lake is covered in, I believe, milfoil and Canadian lower down, but like, you've just got, it's not that deep, like 10 foot at the most, but loads of 6, 7, 8 foot, so not too deep at all, and you've just got this forest. Like, you can just imagine it's like Jurassic Park underwater. You can just imagine the milfoil just like turning as these massive carp are swimming through. So it was a big job, you know, really big job on our hands. And luckily enough, we went with the man for the job, you know, Steve Briggs, who is just, that is his bread and butter. And what an absolute pleasure it was to sit and watch. It's like art. You know, like what he does is like carp art, the way he does things.
Just effortless.
effortless.
Yeah.
We walked round on the Saturday, and important to note that Will came as well, because Will found the week. He was very much part of getting this trip underway.
He was going to book it anyway.
We were going to go. If we couldn't have it as a filming trip, me and Will were going to go with another couple of lads.
So he didn't want to kick him off.
Imagine that. Will, cheers for finding that late, mate. You're in the office, I'm off there. Cheers for the, so he came along with us, and I'm so glad he did, because he caught his biggest ever carp. And the buzz and live it, and you all see it in the film. It'll be out next year, but for some people go fishing for the wrong reasons. Sometimes with a lot of consultancies thrown around, you have to perform, otherwise you lose certain perks. You might have a trade deal with someone, you might have a clothing sponsorship, and it's about catching just to stand. And that's when it's bad. That's very bad.
Can do, yeah. People can go that way.
Yeah, not all the time, but Will goes fishing because he absolutely fucking loves it, and when that fish went in the net, it got weeded up, and he loves his choddy fishing. He does things different, Will. And he won't mind me saying this, he likes approaching it a little bit differently. His rods won't be level, but it doesn't matter because the lines are still in the water, and he caught one before me and Steve, and it was a 43-pound common, jet black. It got weeded up. I had to come over with a boat. I've lifted it out from the weed, and I remember just lifting it out ever so slowly out the weed, and this big black carp coming out of the thing, and then he's got it in the net, and he's just lost his mind. But I've
seen a video. We'll play. There's a video in there, so we'll play it over the top at this point.
Yeah, 100%. And that I lived it for him, because there's not a single boy in this, or lads in this office, where there's no jealousy, there's no bitterness. That for me was I was getting emotional. Do you know what I mean? He was on cloud nine, and he was just the genuine. So credit to that, and it was just lovely to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, Will had that. Briggsy smashed it up for a difficult lake. He had 8 bites, 2 60s, a 63 and a 60.
Oh, wow. Real nice ones.
And again,
I saw the photos of them yesterday. Real nice ones, yeah.
Upper 30-pound linear, jet black commons, then a bit of a Frenchy mirror. You never know what you're going to get.
And because he's so experienced in this sort of fishing, there was this element of you were quizzing him, really. You were really there to eke all of this knowledge, 30 years worth of fishing these sort of venues, knowledge out of him. So hopefully the audience, they're going to see this film. There's not many more people more experienced at Steve at fishing these sort of waters. So you were there to just extract that knowledge out of him.
Yeah.
And so the audience can see what he does, how he goes about it. Because you might not know this, sorry if it's offensive. Brad was saying in the office yesterday, it's you're out there, you've got it all, underwater camera, and you've got 2 rods out there, dropping a H block, finding it, dropping another H block. And Steve just went out there like a ghost. And he just went, boom, boom, no, yes, up it comes, rig goes on, bang, done. And he's out and back in 10 minutes, and you were there for an hour with the underwater camera looking, which is good, thorough. But he just said he watched Steve, he was just glided out like a ghost. He just dropped his rod and he was back, and it paid dividends. And that's the experience side of things coming in.
100%. And that was where it was so, I'm very particular, because it was so weedy. I was in my head finding bucket size feeding spots in amongst this forest of weed, and I'd put 3 H blocks down, and then I'd investigate, and I'd make sure, because you're there for a week, in my head I was underwater camera and spots that, just so I know 100%. And I feel like I couldn't have fished better, but at the same time, it puts precedence. When I was talking to Steve, and you'll see it in the film, exactly as you said, I was there to learn, not just me, but just to use me as the host as such to get the best out of Steve, so our viewers can get the best out of Steve.
Mm-hmm. Ask the questions
for him, exactly that. And hopefully we achieved that, and I'm pretty sure we did. But yeah, as Brad said, things, because he's so experienced in it, he'll know. Because I was putting the camera down, the mad thing was you'd get an absolute FUD on the leading rod, and the echo showing 2.5 foot Canadian. I'd put the camera down, and there is 2.5 foot Canadian, but the lead, because it's so thin and wispy, is going through it. And then you put a baited rig on, drop it, lift it up, and you won't pick up any weed. But I put the camera down, and there's 2 in it. So don't get me wrong, there's places and times for it, but because Steve, he knew just through feeling through the lead and what was and what wasn't, just through that experience. So again, to watch him, he's got the perfect balance of doing too much and not enough.
Yeah.
In terms of the overthinking it and the underthinking it, he's bang in the middle to be the way he is.
He's over his years, he would have done both. But now that's why he's found that you know, middle ground of the perfect equilibrium of efficiency.
Exactly that.
Because he's done it.
Yeah.
Don't want to, obviously the film down next year. We don't want to spend too much time going into every detail. I know you loved it. You loved the lake. You really want to book the lake and go back. But the one question I really wanted to ask, because this I think was one that a lot of people will, and I've seen it on this Gone Court group talking about it, the approach of a weedy lake. It scares a lot of people. You know, if it's very weedy like this place was, it will put off a hell of a lot of carp anglers because they don't want to deal with weedy waters. Talk to me about approaching a weedy water real quickly.
Without, so rowing boats are allowed. So this is where the contrast is. Will fished naked chods, and he caught one, you know, spread of boilies, but then that bite was straight one, then didn't have anything for the rest of the week. I think...
Do you think they were on him?
Don't know. Very peculiar. Very peculiar. Like they were stacked up in one corner. You'll see, like when we did the draw for swims, they're stacked up in one corner. A lot of them, but they were floating about, you know. But yeah, very, very weird.
So Will's straight from the off. It's a good tactic to start with as well. Minimal disturbance, little leads. He had that bite first day, did he?
First day. Yeah, so Sunday morning.
So little disturbance, embracing the weed, not thrashing it to a fireman, finding the clear spots out in front of him. He's just gone plop, 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 spread of boilies, fishing.
Yeah, it was actually singles. Didn't put any boilies out that night.
Okay, yeah, so even better. And that paid dividends for him. Nicked the bite before they even knew he was there, kind of thing. So that's a good.
So you've got that approach to go for it in terms of fishing weedy waters, but the boat is your ultimate tool. We do a piece on it because a lot of people won't have used boats because you don't have the luxury in England to use it. Busier waters, it's not viable. So you do need to have experience in a boat to get the most out of it. And again, Steve will show it perfectly. He is finding spots from a boat where you're presented. Fundamentally, it sounds silly, if the fish can't get the hook in their mouth because it's in 6 foot of blanket weed, Canadian, then you don't stand a chance. You know, you can get lucky and it might sit right, but if you've got 12 inches of hook links just in the middle of a ball of weed, so the most important thing I think is learning to use rowing boats to find clearer spots where you're presented as a very, very basic overview of it.
And taking your time on those first couple of days, how long did you go until you were like, I'm really happy with these 3 spots, or happy with that, I'm fishing efficiently in this?
The other thing was, by the time we were ready to, because filming does put a hold on things, it was like 8 p.m. when we'd done all the film. I was like, I'm not going to go find spots now because they won't be the best of my ability finding spots. So I chucked 2 zigs out, something a little bit different. Steve, being the legend he is, I'm pretty sure he went out and managed to find 4 spots. Whether or not he stuck to them the next day, I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, no rush in it. You got a week. Yeah, 100%. That's like the way to go. Like, don't stick to it. Like, and I was guilty of it myself throughout the week. I was like, I've found I cannot do any more myself to find better spots with where it is because I've spent so much time doing it. If I haven't had bites and I want to change spot, all I'll be doing is just repeating the process, you know. So again, without going into too much detail, but it was just from Steve's point of view, fishing weedy waters, not panicking, finding the clear spots, accurate baiting, using the boat to get above them when they do go in the weed, and just keeping calm.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are scared of weed, but, you know, I remember, because I nipped and saw you when I was out there, and I remember Steve saying to me he loves it. Weedier the better. And he hates the water, which is just a bathtub. Nothing there. No features, no particular spots, no, you know, different depths or anything like that. It's just a bathtub with no weed, nothing. He would rather have full of weed with a couple of areas he can fish rather than absolutely nothing and just going, well, this will have to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's very rewarding, I think, because you just have to put more steps into it. You know, sometimes you can cast over your head backwards and catch the biggest fish in the lake in the bathtub type situations.
You ever done that?
No, I can't say I have. Might be a new way to catch them. But very, very rewarding. And yeah, Steve was using size 6 claw long shank X's. Size, it's a pretty small hook for 60, 70, 80 pounders. Mate, he had 8 bites, landed all 8, not a problem.
And that was a thing for you because you lost a couple, didn't you?
Yeah, and again, this is my trusted twister. Like even like Twilight Hills, it was barbless size 4 twisters. Didn't lose one. Haven't lost a fish in so long. I stepped up to a size 2 Twister X as well, so it's even more meat as such because of the weed. First 2 bites, hooked them fine. As soon as they're in the weed and you haven't got direct contact, they've got more chance to lose them on a straight point hook.
Not just straight point, but I think that claw pattern, I think they're so good at landing fish.
Mate, Steve said to me in his entire, and obviously he was saying this from the heart as well, regardless of whether it's Nash or not, they are the best hooks he's ever used in his life.
Really, yeah.
For hook to land ratio. Yeah. And then I changed. So I had 2 bites. Like first one that I lost, luckily I see it, was like 30 pounder. Next one was a good one. Like it killed me, 3 a.m, massive boat battle, one
so
week.
The first one you've gone, unlucky, I'll keep going.
Exactly that. I was like, it happens. You lose a fish, could have been down to anything. Lost it like 15 yards in front of me. Happened again, and I was like, nah. You know, once could be a coincidence, it's just unlucky. Twice, that's on me. I like to not change. Changed to claw long shanks. Again, you'll see on the film, the most ridiculous. It went into the biggest bed of weed you've ever seen in your life. And yeah, got it in. Yeah. Got it in. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, that it's such a benefit of those hooks and those angled bends. A lot of people take the mick out of them because they look different to the norm, which a lot of things that get ribbed they're different to what's normal. But those angled bends, when I think they're in, mate. Like I've used them for ages. We spoke about it on another podcast before. I don't really lose them. Steve as well saying he does. I think once, especially with the beaked point, the X version as well, with the thicker wire gauge, bigger barb, and then those angle points, once they're in, I think they're so solid. I think they're so good at landing. Once they're hooked, I've got utmost confidence that it's going in that net.
I will never, but because this is a place where you could be on one bite a week type job, and it could be, you know, the best fish you've ever caught in your life. So to lose 2 in a row and then have the 3rd bite, I will never, ever, ever use a straight look. I will always use a claw long shank hook in those situations. Yeah. But when there's not weed, I'm still a massive fan of my twisters.
I think I think a straight point hook is better at penetrating and pricking a carp. But I think when they're on, they ain't coming off on a
It's that
hook.
argument. Would you rather get the bite and have a chance of losing it, or not get the bite? But do you know what I mean? And
when it's on, it's on.
On those venues, I'd rather not get the bite.
Yeah.
When I go to Royston, places like that, you know, say a straight point hook maybe got me a bite when a curve point hook didn't, and you lose one in that instance, I'm like, it doesn't bother me as much. But definitely, like, mate, that is the most painful loss I've had.
Really? Yeah.
I think in ever. Like I was lying in bed, you know, like just lying in bed with my hands on my stomach, just looking at the ceiling with my T1, just thinking, fuck, man, like that could be it for the week, you know. Like, but it was, and then the spot had done 2 bites at that point, and then so yeah, it rambled on a lot, but it was very, very rewarding. Like the best lake I've ever fished. Like 100%. I had the best time with the best group of lads: Brad, Sam, Andy, Will, Steve. Like, you get the social side of things. We had a barbecue, we had a few beers, we had a bit of whiskey on one night, because when I got my bite, it was 30 seconds after Steve landed his, so we had a brace shot, you know. I'm there with Steve Briggs. I've known Steve for ages now, we're good friends, but I still respect him. He is the GOAT. To have a brace shot with Steve Briggs, mate, I'm beaming, I was buzzing. I didn't actually, and then I got tensed and didn't land another one, unfortunately, but just to see Steve had 8 260s, and he was so happy because he felt the pressure because of the film as well, you know. So, of course.
So yeah, if anyone wants to check that out, that's Pascal's Lake on the Goncourt complex. They've got loads of, they've got a really good website, loads of information, loads of good pictures. So go check that out.
We'll be back. Personal war.
Yeah, I know you're going
or
back.
Business, 100%.
Yeah. Wicked place. And then quickly, you went straight off on another one, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was mental 2 weeks. Come back from that trip, went straight to Cardiff for a stag do, and then I come back on the Monday, very worse for wear, and then Tuesday morning got picked up by Tone. Thank you, Tone, for doing designated driver. I would not have managed to drive at that point. Further down to the south of France to meet up with Paul from Carp Fever in Manchester and Phil Foden.
Your new mate Phil.
My new mate Phil. So I've known Phil for 6 years now. Very fortunate that we've struck up a good friendship.
Is it 6 years you've known him? Yeah.
6 years.
Or when you first met him. I think in the last couple years, a year or so, you've really got to know him, haven't you? Like,
yeah, just through love of fishing.
Yeah.
Like his escape from football is fishing. My escape from fishing is football. You combine those, and he's a sound lad. Like, he's just generally a very down to earth, humble lad who loves fishing. We just struck up a good friendship, especially with Paul as well. Like, as a group, I go up and see Paul just at a weekend, just as friends. We'll just go out for a few beers and stuff like that now, and it's just that's come through fishing. So yeah, incredible. He got the time off, very short notice again, because he'll only find out at the end of the season. He's got a week. Paul managed to sort it out. The Sanctuary, again, shout out to the Sanctuary. Adam and his amazing family have created something very, very special. Their ethos is quality, not quantity. It's not about putting 5 70-pounders in a puddle that they all get hooked every now. It's all about quality of the venue, the wildlife, like just being at one with nature. This oak forest around it is just one of the best places I've been told in Europe or the world to see the cosmos, to see the stars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like light pollution wise, it's one of the best places. And we had an incredible week. 100 carp. Phil,
oh, really? Yeah.
Phil caught his biggest ever carp. His brother Logan caught his biggest ever carp. I chipped in with 43. Chelsea won the Conference League. Got to watch that. That was my biggest pleasure of the week. And it was, again, just really, really good times. It was all filmed for Nash. That'll be out soon. I would have thought next couple of months. And again, it just shows you exactly, like, Phil loves it as much as the rest of us. He doesn't get as much time. You think he would, but he'd only get a few hours after training. You can't just pop down his local day ticket because you get hounded.
Yeah.
These trips are like isolated away from everyone. He had a really good week. Yeah, it's really pleasant. And again, I hope it shows, like, I know Phil well enough now to talk to him about just the bollocks that the media says and stuff like that. And he's obviously grown through it and that, but it's just, that's just disgusting, like what they write. And it just really hopefully opens people's eyes to.
Yeah, and I think that it relates to a lot of people on different levels. Like, obviously that's his stresses in life. I get it. He gets paid a lot of money. He's got a fantastic job, but it doesn't come without his massive burdens. And he'll still use fishing as his escape. Yeah. And I think so many people benefit from fishing, not for look what I've caught, or just for that escape from all walks of life. And I think it's such a powerful sport for that.
Yeah, 100%. He was happy. He was alone, not bothered, with his pals, doing what he loves best. And from a mental health point of view, you can just tell, not just with Phil, but a lot of people, that is an escape, and it is 100% powerful.
Yeah.
So
good couple of weeks,
mate. Unbelievable couple of weeks.
Yeah,
very, very good. And obviously a weird one, really, because we were out filming in France, not together, and then you just pop along.
I turned up.
You turned up.
I just turned up. Can't go anywhere without me, can you?
Well, you come to commandeer my engine and my battery.
Yeah,
so I had to go rowing.
I needed supplies, basically.
But you needed a lot more, because you were not on a 7-acre gated complex with a lodge, 2 showers, 2 shitters.
I wish I was.
Yeah.
No, I went on holiday, and it was a bit of a bucket list dream trip. I went to fish the Orient, which obviously needs no introduction. It's a very, very famous lake. But one that I've always wanted to, I say always wanted to fish. It was always one of those which is like, it's out of reach. Do you know what I mean? Maybe in the autumn when it's the water level's down and you're setting up camp and whatnot, and you can access a lot of it. But I didn't really fancy it in the autumn. Going out, muddy water, looking at an echo sounder, there's a feature, load of boilie, see if I catch. Like, I wanted to fish it in the spring, like when it was gin clear and forest, and massively, massively inspired by Pecky's adventures on there. And I know the exact moment when me and my mate said we're doing it. We went to a lake in December 2023 in France called Circe. Shithole. Big public reservoir, but mate, I looked, and I think it gets hyped up so much on the videos, like the big public adventure. I went to this place, I was like, this is shit. Like, it was just a big, horrible, barren reservoir. It's got loads of big fish in. We blanked. It was like mid-December, because it was Puke's birthday. Mid-December, all 3 of us got COVID. It was muddy as anything, horrible, bitter northeasterly winds, like didn't catch anything, didn't see anything, and it was just horrible. And we're on the journey home from there. Yeah, December 2023, and we listened to this podcast of Pecky's on him talking about his time on the Orient, and we just went, May might be a bit close, but May 2025, we're doing it, lads. We're doing it. And we just said, yeah, we'll go do it. And yeah, we did. I was a bit more organised than the lads. I think they started getting their stuff ready about 2 weeks before, whereas I knew with 18 months I was planning it always. I didn't really say I was going to do it. I just wanted to do, get all the stuff ready. But yeah, incredible experience. I won't waffle on too much. We lived, because there's not really much bank access, and I don't have a hard boat to fish on. We did it on the Nash. They actually discontinued now, but Nash 320, so 3 meter 20 inflatables, a compact bed, my hide, cable tied to it.
You got images of this? We can overlay it.
Yeah, I'll put a few images up. Yeah, or a few videos of like my living space for 2 weeks. So you had that boat to fish off with a rod pod on the back, and then another boat, which is like your house boat, as it were, and then you've got your fishing boat to go off and find spots and that sort of thing. And yeah, just beautiful, amazing lake, best lake I've ever fished. Gin clear. I could see the bottom in 20 foot of water in places, maybe 18 foot of water. Excuse me. And there was plenty of disasters, learning loads. Like one of the funny ones was first night we've got there, it's quite late, and we've just headed out to an area. We've gone into the forest because it's all a lot of sunken forest. And I just said, I tie myself to a tree. It's like 9 o'clock at night. Go to sleep, and then we'll get up on the search tomorrow. And I've dropped an anchor off the back of my boat, big 20 kilo thing, and then I've tied myself to a tree, but my anchor rope wasn't quite tight enough, so I was like, I need to lift the anchor, just drop it a bit further. All little things that you'll learn over the course of it. And I've gone to pick this anchor up, I just couldn't get it up. My rope was probably too thin. It was also wet, and so I could lift the anchor off the bottom, this 20 kilo, but once I've got it, like I'd done one lift, I was like, well, now what? Because I go to grab the rope lower down, but it just goes, like just slips through my hands. Try wrapping it around my hands, but the rope's so tight I can't do another wrap to lift it, and and it just kept going, slipping and like giving me rope burn. And I was just like, how am I going to do this? Like, I've just got this, it's only 6 foot of water, but I couldn't get this 20 kilo anchor.
You need to go to the gym.
It wasn't the weight. I could lift it, but then I couldn't like reposition my hand to lift it the next lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because it just slipped, or the rope was too tight, and I ended up having to like roll it round the rope round an oar and just eke it up inch by inch.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
Well, yeah, but I couldn't do this in like 4 meters of water or whatever, like, the next day. But I worked out, like, if I tied loops every 3 or 4 foot down the line, I had a loop to grab onto, so I could just pull it up.
Yeah.
Little things like that, loads of disasters like that. Puke, bless him. Woke up on the first day, his air deck had just gone down and he had a leak. So, and I think at that point he was thinking, I'm done. I can't do this for 2 weeks, because he had just got soaking wet feet. There's a puddle slushing around everywhere. His boat is literally flat. Like, the chambers are full, but the boat is flat. And so he had to spend an hour like trying to get everything out of that boat into his other boat and then switch it all over. So that boat, which was flat, just become a storage boat. It just had all his stuff in a puddle so loads of disasters like that. But anyway, to summarize, like, I ended up 2 weeks, I had 2 bites. I went out there just wanting to catch one. But at the back of my mind, I said 3, I'd be buzzing. Do you know what I mean? 3 was like, I've smashed it. But so I had 2, which I was really, really, really happy with. 38 pounder and a 30 pounder. Both completely different scenarios, different, like, days and days apart. Found it really hard to find them and that. But one was, out of the sunken forests. One was out of deeper water, 16 foot, something like that. First one, gutted. I lost it. As in, landed it.
The old bar of soap through your arms.
Yeah, the boys weren't awake at the time. It was right on first light. I landed it, and I stood there out in the water. Sun was rising. It went into the net. It come up. It wasn't a catfish. It was a carp, and I slipped under the net. Stood there with my rod in my hand, and I punched the air, and I was just like, yes, I did it. Big buzz. Gone back. The lads are still asleep. And anyway, Puke had lost one in the night, and so redid his rods. And then we got it out for photos. And long story short, I always rinse people for this as well. When they go, oh, I might drop it. Shut up, you might drop it. Just hold it. Do you know what I mean? Whenever I've been filming, I'm like, what? come on, mate, it's a fish. Like, you're not going to drop it. Like,
so you pulled a sling away and that's just you and
yeah,
a fish.
I always say, because it's a nicer shot without a sling.
Yeah.
And and I've been the same. Whenever a fish has wriggled, you just you grab it and let it wriggle, but you ain't going to drop it. I had puke in this bite because I could only just get in the water because it was quite deep in my waders. I was actually sat on this slippery, sunken log. Puke's like bouncing around. It didn't tie the boat off really. Like, it was just bouncing around, like holding my camera in one hand and trying to hold onto the branches and that sort of thing. I lifted it up, looked up, and he's like, the angle of the camera was like, so I was like, oh no, get lower, get lower. And as I did, I've slipped off this log. Fish has gone mental and it's gone, and I didn't get a photo of it. I was so...
Well, you half did.
There's a photo of it, like, yeah, we'll lay him over the top of it going, but I was gutted that I didn't get my Orient carp shot. But anyway, luckily I caught another one later in the week, which I managed to get a photo of. But yeah, just the whole experience was wicked.
Big buzz.
Yeah, big adventure, like nothing I've ever done before. You know, living on these boats, you know, hours and hours and hours a day, just searching in and out the forest, big moves to the other side. And it was just very different. And I always said it'd be 2 weeks, once in a lifetime trip, never going back. But once being there, I was like, I can do this again. Do you know what I mean? And if I've got 5 nights to play with, I can't see me going anywhere else in Europe. I'll just go for 5 nights on the Orient. You'd be up against it with that sort of time. But the more you go, the more you learn. Maybe I can benefit from it. But I enjoyed it so much. It was really, really good.
This is why it's interesting, because we've both had arguably 2 of our, like I said, that is the best lake I've ever fished, Pascal's. You're so far at the other end of the spectrum in terms of the style of fishing, but that is you and this is me.
Yeah.
And just everyone has their own buzz, you know, like
but then I said to Will, I saw the photos of Will's, I went, mate, if I get one looking like that this week, I'll be so good. Do you know what I mean? The fishing there were unbelievable. And I thought, if I get one like that from the Orient, I'll be over the moon. So
yeah, it's everything has, you know, their different challenge, which is why fishing's great. You know, it's not just one, not just one way to approach it. Everyone has something that means the most to them. And 2 bloody good weeks for both of us.
Yeah, I really
say.
enjoyed it, man.
Yeah,
it was a great holiday. Great holiday. And definitely will be going back to give it another go at some point. So that was the update.
That was the update.
That's what we were
again, yeah, we probably won't have one like that again. And we'll, in terms of what we've been up to, that's our fishing done. For, you know, our success is done for the for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's been some. Let's talk internal news. Nash Tackle.
Yeah.
What's been happening? What's coming? One thing. Actually, just start with what has come out recently. Just a very quick mention, because we don't want to like bore you with loads of product stuff. But if you're after a bit of clobber, the Make It Happen range of clothing is now in stock.
Yeah. So we've
a lot of it, which those who are watching, me and Dan are wearing it right now.
Yeah,
a couple of the jumpers, but there's a lot to choose from. Not your traditional just greens and blacks. I really, really like it. And again, say I'm biased and that, but it's quality. It's very reasonably priced. Good quality stuff. Have a look, I suppose, if you're after a new bit of clobber, summer clothing. Like,
what else did we launch with that? I can't remember. Well, yeah, we also did a load of more practical clothing, which has come out, which is the ZT Light range, featuring packaway waterproofs and all that sort of thing. So our launches at the moment in terms of new product have been quite heavy clothing based.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. On a film front, we released Japan.
Of course, we can't not mention Beyond Banks, can we?
Yeah. So again, So it's the carry on from the Eurobank series, slightly different in style and that sort of thing. But yeah, if you haven't seen that, we released Beyond Banks #2, which saw Alan go out to Japan, which was an incredible adventure for him. Lads did a really, really good job on the edit. So there's that out to have a look at if you want. And then as for more stuff coming out, which is new, is very exciting. We've got a new scope range coming out.
And this is something... because we've shown it at the trade show, and so it's not as if this is just like the first time people are seeing it. People know it's coming, and we keep doing product launches, and it's great to see because all you guys are really excited for it. The first proper revamp in 10 years. Any product launch we do is like, this isn't scope, you know, like clothing. Where's the scope?
God, yeah.
And we can't tell you the dates because we can't tell you until we know that they're on the way. You know, that's why we can never just say, oh, it'll be here. But
it should, well, to be fair, it should be end of June. I know at the shows I was telling people end of May, early June. It had, you know, but that's so far in advance. It has got delayed a little bit, but now we're a few weeks out. We should, fingers crossed, unless there's any problems, be launching end of June, early July.
Yeah, and you'll see all the information, obviously, in terms of what's what. But
we get so excited by scope because it is such a big part of Nash's brand and ethos. You know, make it happen. It's really about not being tied down in one area, being versatile, being mobile, and going out there with kit which is going to help you make it happen, essentially. You know, the retractable rod, the whole ethos is around packing light and retractable and that sort of thing. And I know before my time, when scope started, a lot of people called them kids rods, retractable rods, telescopic rods, but they're such, you know, speaking to people at those shows, a lot of people say, oh, what's the biggest fish you can land on them?
It's like, so common, that question.
Yeah, it's a strange one because they think because it's shorter, it just isn't as, I don't know, powerful. I don't know, like, but people have landed fish to £70, £80 carp, £70, £80, huge catfish on them. Like they're more than, you know, they're proper rods. They just retract.
Yeah.
They just pack down easier. And I said to everyone I speak to, if you're not fishing over 100, 120 yards, which a lot of people aren't, scopes are your best bet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Why would you have a longer, less convenient rod in terms of transportation and pack down size if you're fishing less than 100 yards? It generally wouldn't make sense to me because, again, that general consensus is that you can't land big carp on it, but a test curve is a test curve.
Yeah.
Whether it retracts or not, 3.5 pound in 10 foot compared to 12 foot or 13 foot is still the same strength.
Yeah, and you'll go fishing, floater fishing for big carp with a £3 test curve rod or a 2.75 or something like that. So I think it's a mindset thing, but, you know, they're in, especially the top of the range ones, that the best quality components you can get for a rod, you know? But then it leaked out from rods into all different areas of fishing. And I was just going to say, my favorite item from this new range, what I like is when items come, we didn't just want to like slap a new camo on it and go, here's a new range of stuff. They wanted to upgrade everything as and when they could. And one of the items which really encompasses what scope is the new retainer slings. I think they are so, what's the word? Innovative. Nothing like they're out in the market at the moment anyway. They're such a cumbersome item as a retainer sling, really, compared to a lot of things. But this is just a bag. The retainer sling comes in a small bag. You can slap it in your barrow, slap it in your rucksack, whatever you need. And then the bag becomes a pump. And you can fill the bag with air and blow up these retainer slings. So then the ribs of the retainer slings are inflated and it just becomes a normal retainer sling. But it packs down tiny.
Yeah.
And I think it's so in tune with what scope is and the ethos of scope and what it's there to achieve. I really liked it. It's so simple, works really, really well. So that's probably my standout item from that range.
No, 100%. And then the new butt lock system.
Oh yeah,
butt peg. So essentially,
yeah.
Well, gone are the days of having to stick pegs in. Basically, the butt cap of the rod, you can either have your standard butt cap, but it comes with an Allen key feature where you can just replace it with this scope butt peg, which is unique to us. No one else can have it, as far as I'm aware. And it's essentially the rod goes. You rotate the rod either left or right 90 degrees. Put it in the butt peg at the back, and then you let it rotate again 90 degrees, and it's secure. Yeah. So you can have, we've got a couple of different types, ones that screw into the ground, or then the platform.
No, they're just pegs.
Just pegs. Yeah, so just pegs. Yeah. So your rod cannot physically go in like this. It's just
it's just like
which I need.
You're rubbish for it. You've lost a couple of rods, but the rods are just locked in, and then you just, when you get a bite, you just twist the rod and pull it out and it comes out. It's great. You know, really simple, but really innovative product. So there's a couple of bits in that scope range, which I think are really cool. They're really different. They suit what scope is. And I think it's a brand of products that can really help people's fishing. And really change people's fishing if they choose to embrace it. A lot of people go, well, it's just stalking stuff, where it's not. It is just...
I think we should touch on as well. So dwarf is gone now. So
of course, yeah.
Everything is being combined into the scope range for a number of different reasons. Previously, dwarf rods wouldn't fit in scope skins and vice versa. So we've consolidated the range, and there's going to be 3 ranges of scope. You'll just have scope, which is the replacement for dwarf, scope ops, which is your typical scope rods, and then scope black ops. And again, loads more information. I'll be very clear about that. But we've consolidated the range. So there will be a lower end scope rod, but still under the same brand, which is, and then everything's compatible
Same
with your
sort
rod
of price
skins.
point as the dwarf rods.
Dwarfs, yeah.
But the reason we did it as well was, like you say, the compatibility, but also dwarf was born, even though it was the same scope ethos, you know, to you know, so it was accessible to everyone. But then we just think, well, it is scope. It shares the same ethos. It shares the same values. Let's just make it scope. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, makes it simpler.
And that was always in the pipeline for years, to be fair, but we didn't want to just change the range for the sake of changing it. It was when the whole range was getting updated, we were going to move it over. So now we have. So yeah, you won't see dwarf anymore. But as Alf says, the scope rods are that price point that lines up with dwarf.
Yeah, you'll see it all. We've got some good media coming.
Yeah. Sorry if you got bored by the product stuff, but I'm excited about it. And I like talking about it.
100%. The scope is like, I can tell from the people's reactions on socials, like, it's a good one. You know, I'm excited for this launch. Like, we have very good launches now and then. This is like, I get even just the passion behind the media and the content and just like showing you guys, like genuinely showing you what.
And
what's
there's a
coming.
brolly coming.
Yeah,
but not in this.
Not
launch.
in North launch.
A lot of people have seen the brolly, but there'll be a brolly in the next launch. But I love me a brolly, so I'm excited by it.
So yeah, that's product stuff. And then usually I do like a clip of the week of what I've seen. It's a bit dry out there at the moment.
Actually, what happened?
I tried to look last night because I forgot about this. Well, the podcast was last minute. I couldn't find the clip within an hour. Yeah. But within that hour that I looked, it's a bit dry. I found the usual ones. I'm sure a lot of you will have seen the guy with the carp and they're looking at and it floats away and then, you know, it goes in. And I didn't want to just show you something you've all seen before. But we'll talk about news. And the theme of the news is bloody big common carp.
Yeah.
Not just from abroad, of course. Euro Aqua. None of us are strangers to the size of the carp that place produces. I know it was a £105 common carp from a bloke from Essex, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that one was.
Is that the biggest common carp that they've ever done?
Yeah, this is something I couldn't actually extract.
What's the biggest carp they've done? Euro Aqua.
I think over in 10, like £115. I think.
Really?
I think so. I know a lot of viewers know the answer to this. But yeah, common carp. I don't know whether it's the biggest common carp ever from them or whether it's the same one but a lower weight. But it was £105 common. The guy, I think he was struggling a bit, couldn't get past the bream, and then this came along. So fair play to you, mate. You know, like if that's a bit.
What did you say? He baited with.
From what I've read this off the Angling Times as well, because I see it on socials, but I just caught up on I think it was the Angling Times, and I'm sure he said 60 pints of
50 pints or something.
50 pints of maggots. I know maggots have been crucial to some other people like catching because, like, you know, you put in like 100 kilo of boiling. That's one carp could probably eat that in there.
Yeah,
I think maggots were part of it, and we got breamed out. I think other people were catching, and then bang. 105 pound, 46 kilos or something, like fucking hell. Do you know what I mean?
That's a big carp.
That is a big carp. And then, not to be outdone, we'll talk about it. The immaculate common from Gigantica.
Yeah, I saw that last night. That one also is probably the best photo I've seen of someone holding a £100 plus carp, because obviously because it's such a big creature, the photos are always crap. There's some guy struggling with it. It's half under the water. It's mainly double arm. Mainly it's belly. But this lad who'd caught it that I saw yesterday, unreal photos for £105 carp. Like, that was impressive. I can't fathom a fish that big.
No, I know. I mean, again, I said to Steve that was the biggest carp I've ever seen on the bank, £63. It blew me away. I know it's not twice as big, but it's not far off. £105. What the fuck, man?
Would you like to go fish Euro Aqua?
I would fish Euro Aqua. I would fish it. Yeah.
Would you pay to fish it though?
This is. I think it's. I don't know, and don't get me wrong, but I think it is very, very pricey, isn't it? And I don't know if it's just the fishing. I think it's obviously in a fortunate position for bait. I don't know what the bait rules are on that, but I think maybe it's wrong labelling it as a millionaire's playground. But I think you've got to have a few bob to go out there.
Or be willing to spend a few bob.
To spend a few bob. But I wouldn't be against, if I was out there, let's say I'm out there, I've done it, and I'm catching those fish, I wouldn't feel, like some people disagree with it.
Not disagree with it, but do you think you would get the same sort of buzz off one of them real big ones as you did from catching last week? You know,
No, I don't think I would. Yeah. And I'm quite about a big un to big un. You know, I don't care if they're really Chinese, Iranian, you know, wherever they're from. That doesn't bother me too much. I've got some levels of what I'm willing and not willing to do, depending on it. But that Pascal's Lake, it was the effort, it was the how I was fishing that meant so much to me.
It must be weird because the guys there, like some, you know, if they're having it off, they don't even get the 50s out.
I imagine putting £50 back. I've caught
loads of 50s this week.
Yeah, no, that.
And I think that dampens it a little bit.
Yeah, that is a bit sad.
When me and Al went to the Azores on Beyond Banks 1, and the biggest fish you're going to catch is maybe £12.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Everything was tiny. I really saw the buzz of, I caught one which must have been like 18, 19, 20 pounds. Biggest thing we'd seen all week kind of thing. Dwarfed everything else. And when you're catching, you know, singles all week, real fun and exotic place and all of that. I caught that big and such a huge buzz. And I said, I think in the film, I liken it to back in the day when a 20 pounder was a real big one. And I always thought, like, how could people get excited by 20? Do you know what I mean? Because it's so, but I got it. It only took a week, you know, of fishing that place to go, I've caught the big one.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be the same there where you're like, the 50s are nothing. And you'd only really get excited. Don't get me wrong. Your first few 50s are like, oh my God, the size of this fish. But if you caught enough of them, you'd be like, right, I want an 80. Do you know what I mean?
It's relative.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's relative for the week you're fishing.
I'd hate to not have a buzz off catching a £50 carp.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that, hunt, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, there's a few things. Would you go Euro Aqua?
Again, I wouldn't pay for it. There's loads of other things that I'd rather do with my time. But if someone turned around and said, I've got a space, all paid for, do you want to come next week? I go, all right.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I like fishing.
Yeah.
You know, would I enjoy it as much as some of the other places? Probably not. Would I enjoy catching an £80 carp for free on a jolly up? Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a good way to describe it. I fully understand where you're coming from. And then...
Yeah, I wouldn't go, I don't think I'd go out my way to spend my time to go there, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and then obviously that Immaculate Common, that's got to be one of the best carp ever, isn't it? Like common carp.
Yeah, it's a big old fish.
Yeah.
It's a big old fish, yeah.
So I might have to make a trip.
Yeah. You've been before, haven't you?
I have actually, yeah, back my tackle. Not to the main lake, to the road lake, but impressive.
Yeah. But we're back home now, and it's back to English fishing and smaller carp, really.
Yeah, do you know what? I was saying to this on the boys on the way home, when you've had the luxury of an exclusive lake booking with your pals, and now I've got to go back to the syndicate, it's going to feel a bit weird. Don't get me wrong, I love fishing. I'll be down there, I'll be enjoying myself. It's like spawning again, actually, so it's close. But I think it's just time. Like if I'd come back that Saturday from that 2 weeks of just having the best fishing of my life, and then went on the Monday to the syndicate, it feels a little bit
anticlimactic.
And yeah, like that. But now it's been, I'll go away again. I've got a wedding, and then I'll come back, and then I think I'll just be reset, and then it's just back to normal again, and then I'll be really excited to get back down there.
This period, these 2 weeks you've been away, and give it a week either side that you didn't go fishing. So that 4 week period, lots changed, as in terms of your fishing and whatnot. Like you've just mentioned, they've started spawning. What's kind of your, because we're June now, 2nd, 3rd of June. It's very different to the 3rd of May in terms of, I think, fishing approach. How would just quickly, we'll talk about this time of year, hopefully there's, something people can take away. What do you change right now? And what do you adopt into your fishing right now?
Yeah, it's a very good point. So last time I was down my syndicate, which would have been beginning of April, just before they spawned for the first time, I was catching them on singles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Single, high visual, pop-ups on choddies. I've been to France where they spawned. Like where I went with Phil was a runs water. I would put 17 litre bucket of bait post spawning, loads of carp in there. When the bite stopped, they'd eaten all the bait. Not everywhere's like that, but generally post spawning is a time for bait.
You start piling.
Time for bait. Yeah. Again, I never do. You're still fishing for a bite, but you just got to be willing to put more bait in. You might start with a little bit more. Don't ever. I think you can always put too much bait in my opinion. but maybe you start with a little bit more on your spots. If you're fishing 3 on a spot or 3 different spots, you start with maybe 1/4 of a kilo instead of 1 scoop or whatever it is, or 1/2 a kilo. Depends where you are, stock numbers, fishery, where you're at fishery wise. But you have to have the bait on hand ready, because if you get a bite quickly and you put more bait in and you get another bite, the fish always tell you, I think. So it's just a case of, so yeah, bait wise, a lot, but I do like a bit of particle. I think it keeps them on the spot for a bit longer, you know, like it just keeps them rooting around, because if they're moving through bait quickly. But again, boilie, you know, I don't think they're fussy. I think once they really start getting hammered post spawning, I think their guards are down again, then you do sort of go towards like a high visual pop up that can then sometimes become a danger sign. They're always caught on fluoros, you know, you match it to the bait you're feeding. But any difference to what you do?
Well, I was going to say as well, you're talking very in session there. Are you a pre-baiter?
No, never pre.
Do you not?
I've never had the luxury of fishing anywhere where I can pre-bait.
Really?
Yeah, not to the degree where I could do it, and then there's a very, very good chance that I can't get anywhere near that spot. Different style of fishing.
Yeah, I pre-bait a lot, and do you know what? The amount of times I've pre-baited and just never fished it. I'm so good at baiting up. The boys always joke, I'm so good at baiting up, but then I just never get the time to fish. Like, I can afford to go down on a Sunday afternoon or whatever and put a bit of bait in, and I might get a night that week. And then it, you know, if the conditions are different, I'll go, well, actually, I want to fish down here, not on there. So I'll bait an area for a couple of weeks and then never actually fish it.
Yeah, good skills.
But no, I'm the same as you. I think now, post spawning, it's I go in with a bit of bait. I'll start but whereas before spawning, I basically don't put any bait in. I fish singles. I might put a little bit in on the session if I've seen something, or leading up to it, if I've seen something day before or whatever in preparation for my night, but never more than a kilo across a couple of spots. Do you know what I mean? So you're talking a couple of pouches, catapult pouches per spot or whatever, and so never really more than that. Go to spawning and I'll start pre-baiting now. I haven't been back down there yet, but I like to get down in the mornings, see where I can see him. I'll try and identify a couple of areas where I'm seeing them, find a spot out there, and I'll start putting a bit of bait in, at least for the next probably like 4 to 6 weeks. I think when it gets into like real hot, because now it can still be moody. Like, it depends really, because May, June, it can still be quite moody. And I think when they've spawned, they need that protein, they need that food, they need the nutrients again it's like going for a big gym session. Everyone always will have, not that I know, but you know, they have their protein afterwards to heal them. And that's where, you know, my mindset, they've just been through the most stressful part of their year cycle. Give them the food, give them a high nutritional boilie. And like I said, I do like a lot of particle at this time of year. For the next 4-6 weeks. And then actually when it gets real hot and they can become a little lethargic, maybe the oxygen's a little lower in the water and that sort of thing, I then tend to fish more session by session at that point, put the bait in for that session, and not necessarily like pre-bait areas or whatever. But I think right here, right now is time for bait.
Yeah, fully agree, like that.
And especially a high nutritional value bait. I like boilies at this time of year. I do mix it with a bit of everything, tiger nuts and particle, but the main part of my bait will be a boilie, rich fish meal. I use a shrimp, just because, you know, loads of bait companies do really, really good boilies, but obviously I'm with Nash, so use a shrimp. I know it's got very high protein content, and I think that's what they need and they're searching out at this time of year. So that'll be the mainstay of my baiting.
Yeah, 100%. And then just coming back to that nutrition side of things again, like it does bite. It says 400 carp in the lake I was on the second week of France. But it's a big lake. I'd say it's 15 acres and a lot of nooks and crannies for him to hide in. But the fact that we were all just literally just putting buckets of shrimp in, essentially.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, just, and like, they were just, obviously the goodness, and again, like you said, there's plenty of other boilies that offer that nutritional value. But from our point of view, monster shrimp, it was obviously what they needed, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So, but yeah, and then when it gets really hot, I was thinking about that session we went to France in August, and it was like 44 degrees.
Yeah.
They did not want to eat.
Nah.
They, like, you had very specific bite spells, which are usually right on
areas and spells, I think.
Yeah. So you just gotta let the fish tell you. You know, don't don't assume anything. I think assuming anything is always a bad way to approach things.
Yeah.
Where it's again so many variables, but take something from that.
Yeah. Okay. Agony Alf.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a couple?
Yeah, we'll do a couple.
I've got a couple saved. The people from last time, right? So it's funny. People from last time, because I went on holiday, I still haven't sent them out a little thank you prize, but I'll reach out to you hopefully today and say, get your addresses and send them out. So thank you for sending those in. They were hilarious. There was a poo story, and what it's done is made loads of people send me their poo stories. And give or take, they're all the same. We've been fishing, I've got caught out, and I've had a particularly peculiar poo of some sort. So thanks for your poo stories, but I don't want it to turn into like agony poo Alf. One guy told me about, it was very funny, but I'm not going to read it out, where he was on the way, jumped into a lay-by, but instead of squatting, he went into like kind of a backwards crab position, like lay down, but then propped himself up. But I don't know why. He didn't explain why he had to do that position. But yeah, I don't want all your poo stories. That one was particularly funny, but
we've got a bank life toilet now as well.
We've got a bank life toilet now as well, so just take that. But yeah, I'm not going to read the poo ones out. So yeah, thank you for everyone else who started sending me them, but lay off the poo ones. I'm going to do this one first. He's put Alfie Ag. Alfie Ag.
Alfie Ag.
Agony Alf. Alfie, hypothetically, you walk into someone else's swim on your syndicate and you sit and have a chat, and over this period they decide to redo one of their rods. They ask you to get off the bucket you're sat on because they need some bait to put out in a bait boat. As they take the lid off, you get a quick glimpse of the chosen bait mix. You see the usual stuff: boilie, seed, hemp and corn. But a forbidden bait is nestled amongst the rest: the banned tiger nut. The person in question constantly catches fish and on most visits to the pond, but you sometimes may struggle. When he visits the lake for 48 hours, he catches around 8 fish, and when you do the same, you catch maybe 1 or 2. He's smashing it, basically. You don't feel this other angler is any better than you are, but now the niggle in the back of your head is tiger nuts. This must be the answer. So my question is, are you whipping out some tiger nut slush or sweet tigers and putting them in your mix, knowing that they are, I like how he's on brand with that. Are you whipping out some tiger nut slush and sweet tigers and putting them in your mix, knowing that they are banned, or are you sticking to your guns, catching them your way inside of the stipulated rules?
I thought the first question there was going to be, are you going to grass on him? Yeah, and I was going to say, no, you do not grass, regardless of how bad it is.
Yeah, so that can be a question. Like, you're being not stitched up on a lake, but you're seeing someone breaking the rules and having a massive advantage. Would you ever say anything?
I would never say anything. No. I wouldn't grass anyone up.
I fucking would.
Would you? Snitches get
well,
stitches.
It depends on the severity of the crime, but yeah, mate, I'm not getting stitched up. A bit of bait mix now, I don't care, but like,
what if they're a really nice guy, one of your friends?
Fuck them. No, so I've had one where like drones are banned on my lake, but I heard whispers of this dude sticking a drone up, finding fish and that, and I was just like, I know the drone's the biggest edge in fishing. And I was like, that's not fair, man. Like, oh mate, I'm coming down doing one night a week, and like, he's just tossing a drone up and seeing the big one in that. Like, I was just like, no way. So although I didn't grass him up, there's a few of us who are unhappy, and one of them, I think, mentioned it to a bailiff. But yeah, fuck him, mate. Otherwise, I might as well go fish the out of bounds myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to break rules and catch loads of fish, not that they were catching loads of fish, but do you know what I mean? If someone broke loads of rules and caught loads of fish, then I'll go fish the out of bounds then.
Yeah, a little bit different with bait. See, this is a question.
So that's what I mean. Like, if it's a tiger nuts in the bucket, I'll take a blind eye.
Yeah. Do you really think that it is the tigers that can make the difference in that mix?
No, not if it's a mix like that. If he's putting out pure tiger and smashing it, and everyone else is on boilie and they're not, then yeah, maybe. But if he's putting out a big mix of all sorts, corn in there as well, do you know what I mean? Like, just use corn, mate.
I would be along the lines of tigers. I think I'd be lying if any of us said we didn't pull a cheeky one with a gently balanced tiger nut hook bait at the end of the day, and on some places where they are banned like that, on really, really like difficult venues, you know, like where a tiger nut. But I don't think in the mix and that, like I say, a bit of tiger nut slush when they're, as you mentioned, a mix that in depth for that many ingredients. My initial reaction is he's not catching because there's tiger nuts in the mix.
I don't. Not in a mix like that.
Not in a mix like that. I think there's something else, you know, like you say, if similar levels of angling, like he could be getting his bait application right, he could be getting his timing right, it could be something else. It's just how much you want to risk it, mate. You know what I mean? Like I've been on syndicates where there's a lot of rules and there's no free strike policy. It's one strike and you've lost your ticket. What have you got to lose, basically, mate? That's what you need to look at. Yeah. Are you going to lose a really expensive syndicate ticket? Are you going to lose friendships? Are you going to be blown up on social media? It's
personally, I'm a stickler for the rules. Like, I don't ever want to be caught. I don't want to go fishing like kind of looking over my shoulder or worrying I'm going to get caught out or anything like that. So I never break rules, and I've always been that way. Like, so I'd always just go, well, they're carp, mate. If you put a decent bait in the right place, whether that be just sweet corn, just boilie, pellet, whatever, they'll eat summit. And if you do the exact same mix as matey without the tigers, trust me, and did the exact same thing he's doing, he's catching them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? He's catching them.
Yeah, exactly so what you said.
I think just steer off the tigers, just try harder.
Yeah, exactly. On this occasion, mate, it's probably not worth it. Yeah, it's probably not worth it. And like, because there's different rules, like, you know, like if you were using plastics and they were banned, then I wouldn't even entertain that, because if you get, that's a little bit different because it can be potentially dangerous because it's a live rig. Yeah. Like a tiger nut hook bait that has been properly prepared, it's not dangerous. But if it's banned, it's banned. It's, you know, the whole leader tubing rule. It's, you've got to account for the lowest common denominator. So in this situation, mate, I don't think it's the tigers. I think you'd be a fool to risk it.
Yeah.
In the words of Dan Yeomans, try harder.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry.
Okay, good. Next one. This one's a real serious one, actually. So I'm not, and genuinely, like, I'm not taking the piss, but I read this and I went, bless him. He needs our help. So I want a serious reply.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Dan and Alf. I'd like to remain anonymous for this, please. I'm writing to you in a bit of a daze, to be honest. I've recently broke up with my girlfriend and I'm really struggling to get my head straight. Everything just feels off. Normally I'd be down the lake with the rods out, soaking up the quiet and letting the water clear my thoughts. But lately, I can't even bring myself to bait a rig properly, let alone concentrate on a session. Fishing's always been my escape, my way of grounding myself. I've spent a fair bit of money this year on a syndicate ticket, something I was genuinely excited about, but now I'm barely using it. I sit there watching the water, but my mind's just looping over the breakup, wondering what went wrong and where it went wrong. That's a mouthful. What I could have done differently. The piece I usually find in angling has been replaced by a fog I just can't shake. I know people say time heals, maybe it does, but I'm stuck in this weird place between wanting to move on and not knowing how. I just want to feel like myself again, back in a rhythm, enjoying my sessions, planning the next bite, getting excited about the season. How do I clear the mental clutter and reconnect with the one thing that's always been my solace? How do I stop letting this heartbreak follow me all the way to the bank?
Well, did I write that 2 years ago? Because I can be very empathetic with this one, mate. I've been there. So this is actually could be some good advice because I've been through it.
I think, to be honest, sorry to jump in, I think a lot of people listening will have been through this at some point. Yeah. I've been there, you've been there. Like, people go through breakups.
Fishing is a hobby. Mm-hmm. You know, there are more important things in life, including yourself, mental health. My ex-missus, we had a house together, 6.5 years. We split up, not very amicably. Like, it was a bad time, basically. I could not go fishing. Like, I genuinely could not go fishing because exactly the same as you, my head was in the worst possible space. Being on the bank alone with just me was the worst possible place I could be. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to, it's different for everyone. Some people going fishing and getting away from it all, you might feel a lot better. Mm-hmm. And that might be your escape. But for me, I needed to be surrounded by me good pals, me best mates.
Needed to be busy.
Yeah, I needed to be busy. Sat there fishing and it completely lost its buzz for me. Like, I remember what it was. I was catching them and it just got to the point of like, what's the point of catching? Like, I just get it out of the water, have a photo and put it back. Like, and that's a point where you realise, you go, knock fishing on the head for a bit, you know, and that's sort of half why I disappeared in a few films for a little bit. I had a lot going on, a lot of work and stuff. It's you need to focus on yourself. Yeah, I think that we spoke earlier about how it can be such a benefit to mental health, the getting out, the outdoors, and I'm a massive advocate of that. But I think at times fishing it's a tough sport because there's a lot of alone time. You know, I've done the same. I've been through it, and I struggled with the actual fishing part, getting down the lake and you know, walking around and that, all good. You sit on your bed chair to like start getting your rods ready and that, and like mind's gone, can't concentrate, and then those bits are pretty all right. It's when the rods are out and you're sat there alone in the dark and all you're doing is thinking. Like, that's the hard bit. And although that can clear your mind and you can get away from the stresses of life and this, that, and the other, sometimes when you've got something like that, particularly in those early, it sounds like he's in the early stages of it where it's so fresh, it can be a tough place to be. My advice would be, personally, I know you said take some time. He mentioned the syndicate ticket. The syndicate will be there next year, mate. Money's money, you earn more. 100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
I wouldn't force yourself to go because you've spent money on it. Like, it will be there next year. The fish ain't going anywhere. You'll be fine. Secondly, try and go with mates. You know, you said one of the things was surrounding yourself with mates. Now, combine those two things, the power of being outside in nature and the mates keeping your mind occupied and enjoying it. Go do some socials, maybe not even on your syndicate. Go down to your local day ticket or whatever. Go fishing, enjoy the outdoors, do it with your mates, talk to them. You know, don't be afraid to say, I'm really glad he's written in because he's struggling. Don't be afraid to turn around to your mates and say, oh, mate, I'm in a real shit place. Do you want to talk 100%. About my missus?
Yeah.
They might not want to talk about your missus, but they will because they're your pals. So talk about it. One thing that helped me was I just go down the lake, not fishing. I'd love a good walk, you know, walk around the lake, walk around the water, watch the water, you know, look at spots, maybe even take a rod and lead up, keep yourself busy, but just being outside, not locked up in your room, upset, like just go for the walk. Don't have to force yourself into the fishing because then that leads to the sitting there waiting for a bite bit, which can be tough. Just get outside, do your walk the venues, have a little look, then go home or go down the pub with your mates and have a chat that way. So still utilise your ticket, still utilise the outdoors and what you've got, even if you're struggling to go and fish. And then above else, time does heal, mate. That
was just about to say, it's the cliche, but time, like, I think every you don't sound like we're on a therapy podcast, but in all honesty, you don't grow at times of easiness. You only grow at times of struggle. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, it takes a hell of a lot to make me unhappy now because I've been at rock bottom. I've been there, and it would have to be really, really, really bad for me to ever get back there now. So take it, even though it's very difficult at this point, take it as a positive. You will be better after this in the future. You just got to get through it. Yeah. Just keep your head up. Keep your head up. Surround yourself with good people. Yeah. Do what? Fishing will always be there, mate. Fishing's always there from when you want to come back. That's what we're going to use the fishing for what it's going to be for best, whether that is social with your mates, walking around on your own, not going at all, but it will always be there. It ain't going anywhere. Get yourself better, boy. Yeah. And it will get better. Yeah, it always does. Mate, 100%. So yeah, a bit of a positive one to end on, hopefully that. Yeah, eventually. Yeah. Anything else you want to cover? I don't think so, mate. How long have we been going, Tony? Are we massively over time? Sorry, I was completely on my phone there. Hour 15 or so. Okay, not bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Tony doesn't like us going over the hour mark. Yeah. He's got shit to do, ain't you, Tony? I can just cut it now, to be fair. I've got more control. You've got the fun buttons again that make the audience clap. And Tone's got a mic now, so he can chip in. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. I need to pay attention now. Because you weren't just scrolling on your phone. I was texting Mike, to be fair. Fair enough. I think that's it for now. We'll get guests in, so that for you lots out there, we've seen your comments like, "Who are these two? Get some guests in." We will get them in. Don't worry. It's just a little bit of a everyone's busy basically, but we'll get them in. We're gonna I know. Should I say, or just in case it doesn't come to fruition, I can say who we spoke to who's agreed. Scott Lloyd. Yeah, Scott Lloyd. Like, obviously, we've got a good relationship with him. Been speaking with him about his new venture, so it'd be good to get him on. Yeah, we'll get Briggsy. We'll get Al. We got Bait Guru Max. You know, we'll get some guests on. Go on, drop it. Phil? Yeah, I'll pick it up. There's it is. Yeah, I'm sure. Al's just dropped the Phil card again. He's going to get Phil in. I'll do my best to get Phil in. Yeah. Just so you guys can
Yeah, keep sending me your. Sorry, I'm going to waffle here. Keep sending me your agony Alfs. I'm loving them, and I love the fact that we've got serious ones as well as your funny ones. Stop doing the poo ones, but keep sending me your agony Alfs. Room 101s didn't do them this week, but send me Room 101s and that sort of thing. Get involved, interact with us, leave comments on the YouTube video, leave reviews on the podcast, send me messages. Send emails to podcast@nashtackle.co.uk. There's loads of ways for you guys to be interactive in this as well. And for me, they're the best bits is when we are talking to you, helping you, even if it's questions about fishing or anything, just talk to us.
Yeah. And we will get there because we've got this new Podmaster Deck 2000 Ultratron or whatever it is. People can ring in. So we need to get that working because I'd love to have people ringing in live.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. Yeah, I won't make any promises.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy your next 3 weeks till we see you again on the other side.
See you later, lads and ladies.